All right, here we go. We are here. And you know what we're here for? X-Men Origins. Wolverine. Arguably the worst X-Men movie of all time. Arguably the worst Marvel movie of all time. Oh boy, this should be a blast. Sabretooth with Never Ever, Wolverine's brother. That's where. Really? So, Sabretooth being Wolverine's like half brother, that was never in the comics? Ever? Why did I think it was? Did this movie trick me into thinking it was it was canon at some point? I mean, let's be honest, there's been so many different versions of X-Men backstory, X-Men lore, X-Men history, Wolverine history. It would not be shocking if there was one version of a Wolverine, you know, backstory, even if it was retcon or if it was changing shit up. Who knows? Who knows? It wouldn't surprise me. Um, Although growing up and watching the '90s animated show, I definitely just assumed that Sabretooth was Wolverine's biggest like common foe. I never thought of him being a brother until this movie. So maybe you're right. Right now we just put this in the PlayStation, so it is currently playing previews right now. I'm gonna let the previews play because why not, right? No real rush to get the movie started, I guess. Oh boy, I will be drinking hard. I will be drinking hard for this one. And if you're curious, they are showing a trailer for Night at the Museum. Is this the first one or second one? I can't tell. I've only seen all of them once. So, to be honest, I can't tell which one this is. Oh, I think I see Amy Adams. So that would mean this is the second one, right? Amy Adams played Amelia Earhart, I think. Yo, the Wolverino. Oh, it was not actual canon. Sabretooth being Wolverine's brother. It was an offshoot story. Okay, good to know. All right, now they're showing a trailer for The Marine 2. Holy shit. I've only seen the first Marine. I've never seen any of the sequels. I only saw the John Cena one. Um, the Marine 2 was Ted DiBiase, right? Or Ted DiBiase Jr., his son. All right, what is this? Oh, is this an X-Men commercial? Let's see what this is. Okay, they're showing X-Men The Last Stand. This is the trailer for X-Men The Last Stand? Wow. Wow. What a movie to. We're about to watch X-Men Origins Wolverine. So let's remind you how bad the last X-Men movie was. Oh no, okay, they're showing a little bit of the first two also. All right. So this is the entire trilogy. This must be the box set that I own. I own all three movies in a Blu-ray box set. That's probably what this is promoting right now. Ironically, this is the only X-Men movie I do not have on Blu-ray. X-Men Origins Wolverine. This is just DVD. I bought this way back when it came out on DVD, and I never rebought it on Blu-ray for obvious reasons. So there you go. All right, we got a Sons of Anarchy trailer. I've never seen Sons of Anarchy, so I couldn't tell you shit about it. I see Ron Perlman. I see Charlie Hunnam. but I don't know what the fuck's going on. Yo, what up, what up, what up? Let me make sure I saw who that was from here. Kiwi. Music Lover. What's up, Music Lover? Appreciate ya. Join in the stream. All right, we got you've seen this movie once and fell asleep through most of it. That's probably the correct amount of times, honestly. I don't know if you had to watch this any more than that. If I'm being honest with you. All right. It wasn't intentional. Oh, I believe you. I believe that you genuinely tried. I believe that you were genuinely trying to watch the movie. I don't blame you for falling asleep. All right, we're gonna get the subtitles. Let's do that. We're gonna make English for the deaf and hard of hearing. I mean, that's not me, but I'll do it. It's something that happens to me when watching movies at night. Are you sure it's not something that happens to you when you're watching bad movies at night? You know, if you were watching a really good movie, do you think you'd fall asleep? Um, I don't know, maybe. All right, so boy, I it's been a little while. I'm trying to remember the last time I watched this movie. You remember the beginning of it? I don't remember when the last time I've seen this. Obviously, I remember a great deal of it. And I think another reason why I remember at least the plot of this movie is because the video game that this movie is based on pretty much follows the same plot beat for beat, but just has more shit to do in it, right? Uh, the video game of this movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine, the video game, I believe was for the PS3. It's such a good game. Sure, the effects, the graphics, the mechanics are probably a little dated, but and maybe it's because at that time we didn't have a whole lot of great superhero games at that point. But between the violence, the rated R-ness, the brutality, um, it was Hugh Jackman doing the voice. It was like, wow, this is a better version of the movie. Cool. All right. I think we're going to press play. What do you guys think? Should we just jump right in? Should we hop into it? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. This is going to be. Have I done a live commentary for a movie this bad? I mean, Batman and Robin was pretty bad, right? But that was more silly and goofy. This is going to be frustrating on a script and, although Batman and Robin was frustrating in a similar way, but at least Batman and Robin is funny to laugh at. I don't think this movie's going to be funny to laugh at. It's going to be a lot of. The fights with Wolverine and Sabretooth were so overdone and got stale. Well, right. I remember by the third time that Wolverine and Sabretooth are running towards each other, charging at each other, it's like, okay, we're going to do this again. All right. We're just going to go for it. We're going to press play. Let me see if I can let you guys know the timestamp. Has not started yet. It's showing the Fox logo. And nope, we're showing this motion picture has been rated PG-13. FBI anti-piracy warning. You know how. Let's watch some Supernatural. Supernatural? What? All right. We're getting started. 20th Century Fox. a logo I don't think we'll ever get ever again, right? Because it's now 20th Century Studios, right? There's the old school Marvel logo. As much as I love the current MCU intros, I love that intro music, I love all that. There's a part of me that is nostalgic for the old Marvel logos, the non MCU Marvel logos. The X-Men movies had it. I don't know if the Spider-Man movies had it. Spider-Man, I don't know if Spider-Man, the Tobey movies did that. All right, so we're at the opening scene. Young Logan, or James Howlett, right? That's his name. He's sick for some reason. His older brother is looking at him like he wants to kill him or something. Your father's drunk again. Okay, so yeah, so they're half brothers. This guy is Wolverine's father, and the guy at the door is Sabretooth's father, right? I'm not sure if I ever need to see Wolverine as a kid. Like, if I ever gave a shit about that. Every superhero has a parents getting killed origin. You used to play this movie all the time when you were younger. Um, when I first saw this in the theater, I'm not gonna front. I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw X-Men Origins Wolverine, baby Wolverine is getting his claws for the first time. His bone claws. Yeah. This little kid screaming with his claws. Wolverine has to scream every time he uses his claws. Um, and he just killed. He wasn't your father. I was your father. Ugh. Luke. The problem is that we didn't know any of these characters. None of this really means anything to us, right? The fact that, oh, now his mother's like, what are you? Is that really the first thing she's going to say when her husband just was murdered and then the father of, I guess, both her kids was just killed? Is that going to be her first reaction? What are you? He deserved it and you gave it to him. But yeah, when I first saw this in theaters, I did like the movie. And obviously, throughout the years and subsequent viewings, it's gone very low on my list. Um, it is not a good movie. There are probably still moments in it that I like or ideas in it that I like. You just saw my rant on the Avengers game. Uh, this Jenna, this movie came out the year you were born. Holy fuck! You just made me feel old as shit, Jenna. Thank you. All right, here is probably the best part of the movie. The montage of Wolverine and Sabretooth going through the wars, and I'm talking numerous wars, and Wolverine getting shot and just continuously running. This is really cool. But the problem is that it's the best part of the movie. It's the most interesting part of the movie. The whole movie should have been this. How much better would this movie have been if the entire film is Hugh Jackman, Liev Schreiber, just using their mutant powers to mull through every army that they're fighting against. And hey, Liev Schreiber, sure, he does not look like Tyler Mane, and he does not look like traditional Sabretooth. I'm talking the long hair and whatnot, but Liev Schreiber is such a good actor, and he commits to, you know, playing an animal type thing, right? Like there's certain scenes where he like him on his hind legs. Like it looks a little goofy, but I also kind of like it. Liev Schreiber sells it. Again, we've gone through like 4 different wars already. And then you have Hugh Jackman, of course. Wolverine has to show that he's a good guy. He's telling Sabretooth that's enough shooting. Mind you, you're in a war, so you're there to kill, right? Or I don't know. See, okay. Okay, here's the part where I guess Sabretooth was he about to do something nefarious to that woman? And now he's turning on all the soldiers. Wolverine, of course, has his back. See, all of this needs to be played out in the movie itself to actually establish their brotherhood, establish their relationship, establish Wolverine's loyalty to Sabretooth. Um, Richard Donner is an executive producer on this. What the fuck? I mean, I know his wife produced like all of the X-Men movies, but I didn't know that Richard Donner was also had his name on here. The scene should have been the yeah. This whole montage, Gavin Hood. I've heard Gavin Hood, the director, talk about how much of this movie was ripped away from him. How much he had a lot of ideas, a lot of plans, a lot that he wanted to do, and Fox butchered the hell out of this movie. So it sucks that when people talk about this movie and how bad it is, right? And it is bad. I don't want Gavin Hood to get the brunt of it. I do think that he could have made a better movie than what this was. Um, Here we have Danny Huston as William Stryker, so they did not get Brian Cox to come back. I don't know why they didn't bring back Brian Cox. Danny Huston is a good actor, right? I'm not hating on the casting of him as Stryker. It's just Brian Cox was Stryker in the same franchise just a few years before this. Was he really that much older that you couldn't just bring him back? I know it's a prequel and they maybe thought he wouldn't look younger, but you think recasting altogether and casting somebody that looks nothing like him made more sense? I don't know. Oh, and hey, there is Ryan Reynolds, his first time playing Deadpool. I actually think Ryan Reynolds in the beginning of this movie is pretty good, and pretty funny, and is a great Deadpool. Like this early part of him talking trash, being a dick, being Deadpool is exactly why we clamored for Ryan Reynolds to get a Deadpool movie. Why we all wanted a Deadpool movie is because of how good he is at the beginning of this. And thank God Ryan Reynolds as Baraka. Yeah, he definitely becomes Baraka Pool by the end of this movie. Whoever idea that was to turn Deadpool into Barakapool, I hope they were fired immediately. I hope they're not working in the superhero movie biz right now. Leo Schreiber needs to reprise Sabretooth. He was awesome. I think if Hugh Jackman ever comes back as Wolverine, Lagos, Nigeria. If Hugh Jackman ever comes back, I think Leo Schreiber should play his Sabretooth. Leo Schreiber, he's much better in a movie that does not deserve the level of acting and commitment that he's putting into this. You know, imagine Hugh Jackman, Leah Schreiber, and Ryan Reynolds in a good X-Men Origins movie, right? Like, imagine if this was a good movie. Why is Will.I.am there? Why? Why is Will.I.am there? Okay, here you have Agent Zero, who I guess this is his one like badass moment of the movie. Um, it's so weird because this was the start, right? This was the start of Fox showing how much they don't give a shit about continuity in their own franchise. If you're going to do a prequel, at least have it match up in a perfect way to where it feels and none of this stuff I care about, like this whole Weapon X team or Task Force X, whatever the hell this team is supposed to be called. I'll be back. Let's watch the shit show. um, and that's okay. That guy is supposed to become the Blob later, right? I heard. I think I must have watched this with the commentary at least once. Okay, here we have the elevator scene. This is where Ryan Reynolds really talks the most shit. And there's the hint, or there's the foreshadowing, I should say. Wolverine says to Wade, "Don't you ever shut up, pal." Oh yeah, he'll shut up when his mouth is sewn shut. And you have Dominic Monaghan, whatever, the dude from Lost. For some reason, he's in this movie and he can just like control the elevator. I'm not really even sure what his powers are. Dominic Monaghan, like I guess he just can control electricity. Is he Electro? All right, here we go. So now we have Deadpool with his sword deflecting every single bullet, and like, like this is okay. He cuts the bullet in half. That's kind of cool. But at this point, though, Deadpool is not a mutant, right? Like Wade Wilson, he's just a really good swordsman, right? Alex Reader, fuck this movie. I concur. If you didn't have that mouth on you, Wade, you'd be the perfect soldier. Can they foreshadow the whole sewing his mouth shut anymore? We get it. You guys want to sew his mouth shut. We fucking get it. Again, who made that call? Give me the name. So I watched this with the commentary years ago, and I think if it was the producer or whoever, they talked about how like Stryker going to Africa and looking for adamantium. Um, like apparently this was their way of doing Wakanda and vibranium. Obviously, they couldn't use Wakanda, but them going to Africa looking for the strongest metal in the world, it's all there. Um, And this is another thing that annoys me about this movie. So in X2, the second X-Men movie, and when they talk about Wolverine's past, and when Stryker says to Wolverine, "Hey, you and I, we did some good together," and he says something like the type of man you were, right? So I always interpreted that as before before everything went down with Wolverine losing his memory and all that. Maybe Wolverine was a bad person. Maybe Logan did some fucked up shit, but like willingly did it, right? Clearly they're so hitting you over the head that Wolverine was always a good person from the beginning. He was always the one who was trying to do good. He's the one stopping Sabretooth from killing everyone. He's the one stopping everyone else in the group from going too far. And Wolverine was the only person, right, who doesn't want to go too far. And it's like I get it. He's the lead. He's the hero of the X-Men movies. They don't want to deviate from it. But how much more interesting would this movie be if even if Wolverine isn't fully bad, if he had more of an edge to him, or if he had more of a like I am willing to kill left and right, and you set up at the end of this movie, if you want to do the whole, I wouldn't have done the adamantium bullet. I would not have done that. But see, and this part is kind of ridiculous, right? If you think about it. So the setup of this movie was that Wolverine and Sabretooth were put in a military prison, right? Because they went against orders and went against the soldiers. So the reason why there was lightning and thunder in that scene of Wolverine leaving the group is a young Storm was supposed to be there in that village, and she was supposed to. Thank God they took that out though, because it's like fuck. Um, and we just jumped ahead 6 years later. 6 years later, Wolverine's just living his best life out in a cabin somewhere. He has a woman. A woman! But so Wolverine and Sabretooth were in a military prison because they went against orders. Stryker got them out of the prison to join his secret group. And then yet Wolverine is allowed to just leave the group without having to go back to prison and without having to answer for anything. He can just leave and live a normal life. It just doesn't make any sense. Sabretooth said to him, "We can't just let you walk away," but he meant that more for like, you know too much of what we've been doing and all that shit. All right, here we have the moment where Wolverine is too embarrassed to kiss her in front of his coworkers. Because again, Wolverine is just a good old fashioned good guy. This actress, Lynn Collins, I think her name is. Um, she was in John Carter, right? And she's in The Walking Dead this current season, right? If anybody still watches The Walking Dead, anybody watch The Walking Dead anymore? No, probably not. All right, so here's Dominic Monaghan working at a carnival. So did the entire group just disband after Wolverine left? They all just split up? All right, so what are your thoughts on the poster for Blumhouse Megan? I have not seen the poster for Blumhouse Megan. I don't know what that is. So so Dominic Monaghan's mutant powers are that he can just turn on electricity and power with his mind. I mean, I will say it's a decent power if you never want to have to like pay your electric bill, right? And you just like can just turn shit on at will. Oh, and Sabretooth is paying him a visit. Should I ever should we even call him Sabretooth? Is he called Sabretooth in this movie? I'm pretty sure he's just called Victor Creed, right? I guess he's not called Sabretooth until he joins Magneto's Brotherhood years later. Okay, so he's telling Sabretooth that he never told anybody about what we did. Okay. Have you played the Deadpool video game for Xbox One? Well, I do not own an Xbox. I've never owned Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. I've never been an Xbox person. Um, but I've never played the Deadpool game. I've wanted to out of curiosity, but I never bought it. I never got my hands on it. And I think it also came out for PS4. I would be willing to play it. That would be cool. I should be able to play it on my PS5 if I ever got my hands on it. I heard it's a fun game. Um, oh, Wolverine just woke up from a nightmare, I guess. Just claws into the bed. The bone claws are weird, but I don't mind. The X-Men Origins Wolverine video game is way better. Hell yeah, dude, Shadow Bear. The X-Men Origins Wolverine video game um, is way more fun than it has a right to be. Uh, I believe I own it, but it's for the PS3. If the PS5 was backwards compatible, at least for PS3 games, I would totally live stream playing the X-Men Origins Wolverine game because that game is so much fun. Wolverine is so violent, so brutal, rips people apart. I remember you would just grab people and throw them on top of, like, impale them and rip heads off and shit. Um, it's on PS5. Is it the Deadpool game? Is it worth buying? If you're saying it's good enough that I should buy it and play it, maybe I will play it and I will okay, that effect of Agent Zero shooting the cigar in Wolverine's mouth was awful. Not just CGI wise, but even how fast he did it, and it was just like, what? He shot the cigar, but what? Like, see, Hugh Jackman though. Hugh Jackman sells this. This horrible script. Hugh Jackman is so charming. He's so likable. Um, I probably still would have rather have seen a more angry and aggressive and more bad Wolverine because this is pre him losing his memories and him eventually joining the X-Men. Like if you establish that before then he was a mercenary or he was a guy who was willing to do bad shit for Stryker, that would be way more compelling than this bullshit. And I remember the first time I saw this whole plot of Stryker coming to Wolverine and being like, Victor is on the loose and he can't be controlled, and he's going around killing members of the old team. Um, I'm Canadian. That's actually a good line. Wolverine being Canadian, um, in this movie, them establishing that, or at least having a line of it. I think that might be the first line of him saying he's Canadian in a movie. Maybe not. I don't know. Okay, his girlfriend's name is Kayla. I will give Lynn Collins, the fact that she is very beautiful. You can understand why Wolverine, Miss Silver Fox. Okay, that's your clue that she is a mutant character. Silver Fox is from the comic books, I believe. I don't know if her ability to touch somebody and make them do whatever she wants, I don't think that was her powers, but I actually think, because what they do with his girlfriend, with her character in this movie, it's so convoluted. It's so like, oh, she's the girlfriend. Oh, she dies. Oh, no, she's not really dead. She was a part of Stryker's plan to reel Wolverine in, only to find out that she too is being used against her will because they have her sister, and so she's not really a bad person. So, did she really love Wolverine? How long was she supposed to be dating him? Was she just there to keep tabs on him? It's so confusing. Like, just make her bad. Just make her somebody that was working for Stryker, and she tricked him. Do that, because the back and forth is so confusing and unnecessary. It almost would have been more interesting if you're establishing that her powers are that she can touch somebody and have them do whatever she wants. It would be more interesting if you found out that she was manipulating Wolverine with her powers, right? If there were times like when he finds out that she is using him, or whatever, that like he flashes back to moments when he remembers that she touched him and she got him to do something that he wouldn't have done, you know but no, hey, fuck it. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm actually trying to make this movie make sense and be worth a damn. All right, here's your scene where his girlfriend is telling him the story of Cuckoo Kachu, Kawachu, whatever the fuck, about the moon, and oh, this is where the Wolverine name came from, right? He got that name from her. What the fuck? See, this is why you hate prequels. At least if prequels are good, then they can be great. But if a prequel is bad, it can ruin moments of like, well, here's where he got the name Wolverine from. And it's like, that's where he got the name from? From her telling him about Kawachu Cuckoo Kachu's story? What? Ugh. It means the Wolverine. Bullshit. And Wolverine being a lumberjack. I feel like this is like three movies into one, right? Um, Wolverine and Sabretooth being in the wars is one movie, and a movie that we deserved. Think about it. You could have had the whole movie be about that, and then the end of the movie or the after credits scene in the movie could be Wolverine meeting Brian Cox as Stryker. Like that's the end credits, and it's like, oh shit, this is where Stryker recruits him, and this is where the Weapon X thing happened. That should have been the after credit scene of this movie. We don't even see him in the procedure because we already saw it in flashbacks in X2. So you don't need to redo it. All right, Sabretooth. Um, Sabretooth is in front of Kayla, Wolverine's girlfriend. He just scratched his nails against her car. And is that the car? I should make movies for Hollywood. I wish, dude. I wish. The problem isn't as much that there aren't enough good directors in Hollywood because there are plenty of good directors and good writers in Hollywood. The problem is the producers and the studios who they're only interested in making blockbuster popcorn filled movies that are dumbed down and that will is only there to make money. They don't really need to be interesting. They don't really need to have good writing or make sense. I'm sure Gavin Hood, the director, I'm sure he wanted this movie to be good, right? I'm sure he fought for a lot of the stuff that maybe I also am talking about. Maybe Gavin Hood would have wanted a whole movie. Oh, here's Wolverine screaming because his girlfriend's dead. Rah! Victor! Um, and that moment in that scene is even dumber once you realize that Kayla's not really dead. So, like, the whole moment when they show that Victor just splashed blood on her, it's like when Wolverine goes up to her, you're telling me he didn't notice that she doesn't have puncture wounds in her? She doesn't have stab marks on her? That she's just covered in fake blood? It's like Wolverine is not that dumb. Or don't tell me that he's that dumb. That he didn't check for where she was stabbed. Once he would realize that she has no stab marks on her, it's like, well, and then what did Wolverine do? Did he just leave Kayla's body in the woods? Because obviously, if she's not really dead, what if Wolverine just buried her because he thought she was dead? So what if he was like, oh man, now I have to bury her in the middle of the woods, but she's not really dead? It's like, did they think about that? This movie, this script is so bad. Who wrote this script? Is it Simon Kinberg? I know Simon Kinberg wrote The Last Stand. He wrote Dark Phoenix. He wrote Apocalypse. He wrote a lot of the shitty X-Men movies that I do not like. All right, here we have the first. This was the first moment of Victor and Wolverine charging at each other in the bar. We're gonna keep track of how many times they charge at each other. In fact, let's take a shot for every time Wolverine and Victor run at each other. Cheers. And it's like, what was the plan here? So Stryker got Victor to lure Wolverine back into the fold to trick Wolverine into taking the procedure to turn his bones into adamantium? Huh? It just. I swear, nobody proofread the script. Nobody tried to make sense. Nobody asked questions. Okay, so Victor just threw Wolverine onto a bunch of logs. Okay, this moment looks like it sucked. This is when he steps on his bone claws and breaks them all, right? Shatters them all. I guess his bone claws grow back if they get stepped on. There you go. I mean, because like I know Wolverine's powers is that he regenerates, but does that so if his bone claws regenerate, does that mean like if you cut his arm off, if you cut Wolverine's hand off, does that grow back? I wonder. Oh. Okay, Stryker swears on his son's life, but it's like still bought it. Like I remember the first time watching this and thinking like you can't trust Stryker the whole entire time. So when they tried to treat it like it's this big reveal, all right, here we go. So Stryker's gonna tell Wolverine we can. Man, yikes, yikes! I rewatching this movie. Oh boy, what a waste of Hugh Jackman's talents. See, I will concede this. X Men Origins Wolverine is probably the worst X Men movie, just as far of a script perspective, on a script level, as far as wasted potential, wasted characters. But it's more annoying because X Men The Last Stand angers me a lot more. All right, here we go. Here's the moment where they're recreating the Weapon X program, the procedure, but it's nothing like the flashbacks from X2. It's way more tame. It's way brighter. I'll never get the images out of my head of the way the flashbacks in X2 look. And Wolverine's covered in blood. It looks brutal. It looks intense. Like that's what this scene should have been. And if you can't replicate that, if you can't do that scene as good as those flashbacks were, then you don't do the procedure scene at all. Make it an after credit scene. You have Wolverine meet Stryker in the after credits. You don't do any of this in the fucking movie. Oh, the dog tags. What do you want them to say? Wolverine. Cuckoo Cachoo. And how long did it take for them to get Wolverine in this? Wow. Not even 40 minutes in, and we're already doing the Weapon X procedure. Holy shit. We sped through so much of backstory. So much of what we've seen could have been like three separate movies. It's ridiculous. It's insane. It's fucking insane. Well, I didn't finish checking who wrote this movie. The writer of this movie is David Benioff and Skip Woods. David Benioff, was he one of the showrunners from Game of Thrones? Holy shit, that might actually explain some shit, right? All right, there's the antimantium going into his bones there. In the comic, it took Logan a long ass time for him to get his adamantium claws. Uh, in the comic for his origin, yeah. See, I would not have done this in this movie. Like I said, you you do a whole movie that's all about the war or all about something else, even if it's Wolverine and Sabretooth working for Stryker, doing missions, doing shit, whatever it is, and then maybe half the after credit scene can just re-show the same footage from X2, right? You don't even have to reshoot this. You could re-show the same footage from X-Men 2 and have that be the after credit scene to show that, like, all right, it eventually happened the way that you saw it happen. And supposedly Wolverine just flatlined. But again, the problem with prequels is that it's very hard to have us believe that the main character is in any danger because we know that he's going to be in other movies past this. But that's the problem with every prequel, you know? It's just you can't have tension in this moment of them, Stryker, them all reacting to if he's dead, and then the flat line, and then the heartbeat. You can't sell this moment in a prequel. You can't. You can't. And then Wolverine, while he's in the water, can overhear Stryker say, wipe his memory. And so when Wolverine hears them say wipe his memory, that's when he wakes up and freaks out and runs out of there. We'll use his DNA for 11. Erase his memory. Yo, gamer man. Okay, he heard them say erase his memory. I think he heard you. There's the claws. I mean, why wouldn't they have already discussed that before this, right? The whole erase his memory. Like, why are you saying this at this very moment? All right, and here you have the moment that annoys me because in X-Men 2, when the cop shoots Wolverine in the head, he goes down and he kind of dies before the bullet pushes out of his skull and he wakes back up. In this movie, he just got shot in the head by Agent Zero and he just fucking took it and looked back. He's a Terminator. You're sorry you let you were in another stream. All right, that's cool, man. That's cool. I appreciate you joining now. It's all good. And this is so ridiculous. This makes Stryker look like a fucking fool. Stryker, if you really think about it, if you pull it back, Stryker got Victor to create this whole fake, like, hey, we killed your girlfriend, but we didn't really. We did all this stuff to try to trick you into doing the experiment. But because Wolverine heard him and ran out, now we have to hunt Wolverine down? Huh? It's like you literally just created him, and now like you turned your enemy into the biggest weapon of all time. We just had the old farm couple, the Kents. I don't know if this was supposed to be a Superman reference, but it's kind of interesting to have Wolverine wind up on a farm with two older people. I mean, I'm not saying another superhero movie can't do that because Superman did it first, but you can't help but think it, right? Damn, Hugh Jackman is in amazing shape. If I had the body that Hugh Jackman had, I'd be running around naked too. I'm not gonna lie. Good for him. Good for him. I know he'll probably never be this shredded anymore now that he's not playing Wolverine anymore. But he must have loved this time, not the actual working out and the amount of eating he had to do to get this big, but I'm sure just, at least I can only imagine. Okay, the CG claws, wow, look how bad this looks. This looks like a fucking cartoon. These claws look terrible. How do they look worse than X-Men 1? Holy shit, this is the worst effects I've seen in a superhero movie post the 2000s. I swear the CG in Daredevil, the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, looked better than this shit. Holy fuck. Wow. How much money did Fox put into this? Like, that's the first time that Wolverine's looking at his own claws. How do you fuck that up? How do you not have that look more epic? And here's your moment of comedy where Wolverine, accidentally destroyed their sink. Budget was 150 million. This scene is how he got his jacket, right? That's one of those prequel things that I don't like how they do that. Oh, here's how he got his name. Oh, here's how he got his jacket. Solo. Here's how he got his gun, his blaster. It's just like, who gives a fuck about any of that? And the whole him getting his jacket here doesn't really make sense because he's not even wearing the jacket by the end of the movie. By the end of the movie, he's just wearing his tank top, his white tank top. So where did he get the jacket back? Right? All right, here's Wolverine thinking about Kayla. See, the problem was that we did not see how they met. We did not see them fall in love. We did not see like we're told that he was in love with her, but we got like two scenes with her maybe. Um, it's just this movie is trying to do too much. It's trying to shove too much in there. It's not earning any of these dramatic scenes. Is this the moment where Pa Kent gives him the jacket? This was his son's jacket. There you go. Did did his son die or something? The way how he said this was my son's jacket, and his son must have been big if it fits. Wolverine this well. And very nice of this couple that just they they gave him they fed him dinner. They're letting him stay there. They gave him their son's jacket. They're gonna let him use the bike. It's like, fuck, this is the nicest couple ever. Too bad we're about to kill them. Boom, there it is. And she just got shot, and he just got shot. And Agent Zero was like 100 miles away. So Agent Zero a mutant, and his powers is that he just has really good aim, or is he just a regular dude that has really good aim? I mean, I know in the comics, Agent Zero I think was a mutant, right? I think, but oh, the moment when they blow up the barn and then Wolverine just comes out of the flames with the bike, it's like, wow. Hey, Ty, you're late. Oh no. I think we've been going for almost an hour so far. If you're wondering, we are at the part where the old couple at the farm just got killed, and now Wolverine is being chased on the motorcycle by Agent Zero. This movie's a train wreck, dude. I almost forget how bad this movie is. Like, I know it's bad, but I forget how bad it is until I rewatch it. And then I'm like, man, this script is awful. It's awful. It still doesn't make me as angry as X-Men 3 does, because X-Men 3 has characters that I actually care about, and I actually care about their fate. And I don't want, I didn't want them to kill Cyclops and Xavier, and the mishandlings of Magneto and Mystique and Jean and Rogue. So much shit that they get wrong in that movie. So that's why I get more angry with X-Men 3. Angel wasted. Um, Whereas X-Men Origins Wolverine is more just like, wow, this movie sucks and should have been better, but whatever, right? Like, we haven't gotten to him yet, but the probably the biggest, although we did see Deadpool already. Well, early Deadpool. We saw Wade Wilson, I should say. But the two biggest mutants that probably get fucked with the most in here is Deadpool, right? Number one, worst handling of a Marvel character possibly in any movie. And Gambit was wasted. Gambit was very much wasted. I don't think he was performed bad. I think Taylor Kitsch did a decent job as Gambit, but it just didn't make sense for Gambit to be in this specific time period, therefore kind of negating him from being an X-Men member. Here you have Wolverine hanging off of the fucking helicopter. That's the thing, is that there is a lot of action in this movie, but it's just, who cares? Who gives a shit about any of this action? And again, I feel bad because I know Hugh Jackman. This is the best shape Hugh Jackman has been in, playing Wolverine. I'm still trying to figure out if it's this movie or if it's Days of Future Past, where he's at his most shredded and muscled and bulk. I can't tell if it's this one or that movie. Or it could also be The Wolverine. Between those three movies, he got so fucking jacked. And this movie did not deserve it. This movie did not deserve how hard he worked on it. After I kill Victor, I'm coming for you! All right. So it was in the Wolverine in my oh what that he was his most that Wolverine was his most shredded. I believe it. I believe it. I just remember that one scene in X-Men Days of Future Past where when Wolverine wakes up in the 70s and he's naked in bed with that chick and he's so fucking shredded, right? Okay. So Wolverine with his claws can just strike the ground and creates a spark that creates a fire. And Wolverine walking away from the explosion because that's what badasses do, I guess. The only thing that will take him down is an adamantium bullet. Oh my god. Adamantium bullet. Yikes. Who wrote that into the script? An adamantium bullet is the only thing that can stop him. Holy fuck. See, I was always under the impression in X-Men 2 that it was the procedure, it was the Weapon X program that took away his memories. So I remember watching this movie and being so confused over like, wait, so he had the procedure and still has his memories? Wow. I completely forgot that Cyclops is in this movie. Holy shit. We have a young Cyclops. And he's getting yelled at by his teacher for wearing his red sunglasses. That was a choice. To have a young Cyclops. That was a choice I would not have made. Wow. I completely forgot about Cyclops in this. Jesus Christ. Did they put him in here because people were pissed about them killing Cyclops in X-Men 3? So they were like, well, let's just put him in this movie? Oh, hey, look, it's Will.i.am. Agent Zero was a mutant in the comics. I don't know why. I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing is that they fucked up so many characters in this movie. They fucked up so many characters. What is Will.i.am doing in this movie? I do not know. And the thing about Will.i.am is that I like him in general, right? And I like the Black Eyed Peas, but he's not a good actor. And he's in this movie, and he's very deadpan delivery. It's like, is Will.i.am supposed to be a wannabe Nightcrawler? That's a good question because he does have the Nightcrawler ability, right? I remember in the X-Men Origins Wolverine video game, there's a moment when Will.i.am is with Mystique. Holy shit, Bree and Ty. Whoa! Thank you. Holy shit. A 49.99 super chat. What did I do to deserve this? Fucking A, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you so very much. You guys just made doing this live stream for X-Men Origins Wolverine tolerable. You gave me a reason to continue. I appreciate it. I mean, fuck, that's a very high donation. Just keep being wow. I cannot thank you guys anymore. The video game is yeah, the video game's great. But yes, okay, so in the video game, Will.i.am, what the fuck? Another super chat? Another $49.99 super chat? Holy shit, Bree and Ty. You guys just became my favorite people in the whole world. You know what? Cheers. Cheers. Let's have a shot. Let's have a shot to the two highest donators, I think. Anything to keep the streams going. Hey, you guys have kept the streams going. I was planning on doing Jurassic Park after, like, next week. Next week I was planning on doing the Jurassic Park movies. Because I believe Gamerman. Treat yourself to something. Oh, that's awesome. Bree and Ty, you guys. Shots. Shots. Cheers. Cheers, Profess the Film Fan. Ooh. All right. Wolverine is having a fight with Blob. Cheers, ZLG. Cheers, cheers, cheers. You guys are awesome. All you guys are awesome. But especially Bree and Ty. I cannot get over. I'm almost like, is that real? Am I drunk already? I'm seeing that donation. You guys are fucking awesome. So I believe a few streams back, Gamerman donated money and we sort of brainstormed doing streams for Jurassic Park. But I think Bree and Ty, you guys deserve, you know, what would you guys like for me to do a live watch for next? Okay, Bree is excited for Jurassic Park. All right. We are doing Jurassic Park next week. That's the plan, anyways. By the way, before we get too far in it, so Sabretooth, Victor is chasing Cyclops down in this high school hallway. And this is supposed to be the big shock, right? Holy shit, the big shock. William Stryker is working with Victor. It's like, no shit. I love how Stryker comes in and it's supposed to be like a, they're in cahoots? Fucking obvious. Was anybody surprised by that? Was anybody shocked that Victor, and now Wolverine's finding out through the Blob? Mind you, why did Wolverine have to have a fight with the Blob? It was just a forced reason. Maybe Fast and Furious. Ooh, Fast and Furious. That is 10 movies if you count Hobbs and Shaw. Wow. Fast and Furious would take me a good like 3 months to if I watched one every week. But hey, fuck it. If you guys donated a lot, so I can't argue with you. If you want Fast and Furious, you will get Fast and Furious. God damn it. That's a lot of movies. It's 9 if you're just talking Fast and Furious. 10 if you count Hobbs and Shaw. I don't know if you guys count Hobbs and Shaw. You're down for Jurassic Park? Okay. Well, we're gonna do Jurassic Park, but you guys get the next. What do you want me to do after Jurassic Park? Bree and Ty, you guys tell me what you want next. All right, so in the video game, Will.i.am is with Mystique. And in the game, Mystique gets pregnant by Will.i.am. And that's supposed to be Nightcrawler? In the game. I don't think that's canon. In fact, I think in the movies, Mystique, she must have slept with who was the red dude from X-Men First Class? You know what I'm talking about? The red guy that had Nightcrawler's powers. He was with Kevin Bacon's Hellfire Club. I forget his name. I remember the part in the video game where Wolverine has to fight Blob, or when Azazel. Thank you, Azazel. Thank you. As soon as you said it, yes, you're right. The first Fast and Furious movie is the best. I think the first Fast and Furious movie is my favorite Fast and Furious movie. The fifth one is up there as well. Don't get me wrong, but I have a sweet spot for that first Fast and Furious movie, and I kind of miss the days when Fast and Furious was more about the street racing. I know it would not have been able to last as long as they did if it was still street racing. I get that, but you know. Um, all right, so Wolverine just found out through the Blob that Stryker has been conducting experiments on mutants and blah blah blah. You love 4, 5, and 6. My favorites are 1, 5, and 6 is pretty good too. 7, seven's really good. 7 would have been a great way to end the franchise, but that's just me. There he is. We're about to meet Gambit. What do you guys think of Taylor Kitsch as Gambit? Do we hate him as Gambit? Remy LeBeau. That's his government name. Do I owe you money? Then Remy LeBeau I am. I Taylor Kitsch I thought was good. If Taylor Kitsch as Gambit was in a better X-Men movie or was actually in the X-Men, I think people would be a lot happier. The second Fast and Furious is a good buddy movie. Oh, look, I have fun with the second Fast and Furious movie, but I don't think it's that good of a movie. Um, you know, there's just something about Paul Walker and Tyrese. I don't think they could have carried, or I don't think they did carry a whole movie. But I probably would rather watch Fast and Furious 2, or sorry, Too Fast, Too Furious. I probably would rather watch that than like rewatch 8 and 9. You know what I mean? It's probably better than 8 and 9. So that's saying something. You think the second one is the best one? The best Fast and Furious movie? You think it's the second one? Holy shit. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that before. Because I know who you are, Gambit. Pretty trippy that this is the first and only time that Wolverine says the name Gambit. In live action, of course. Oh, and Stryker just grabbed Will.i.am's heart, I guess, through his, or is it, his spine. He just broke his spine. Oh, that's actually, for PG-13, that's a pretty gruesome death. Um, I think if you just made Liev Schreiber the villain by himself, like, there's so many better versions of this movie. Every time something happens, I keep saying out loud, if you had just done this, it would have been better. All right, here you have Gambit randomly having a fight with Wolverine. There's so many moments when Wolverine goes to meet a character and they fight first before they talk, right? He fought the Blob. He fought or is about to fight Gambit. This is the second time. The moment when he just fucking back elbows Gambit actually annoys me because it's like, I feel like that's the writers being like, yeah, who gives a shit about Gambit? This is what we're really here to see. I'm gonna cut your goddamn head off. See if that works. I like that line. Um, Wolverine and Sabretooth running toward each other again. That's a nice stick. Oh, okay. Wolverine just clawed Sabretooth in the hand. Now, I know Wolverine said, I'm going to cut your goddamn head off, and I know he said that he wants to kill him. But when it really comes down to it, oh, there's the stick. He just blew up the whole fucking alley. Um, but if when it really comes down to it, would Wolverine really kill his brother? I know he was angry about Kayla's death, and I know he seems pretty angry, almost angry enough to try to kill him. But you don't know. There was never a moment where like Wolverine had him on the ground and he's about to cut his head off, and then he stops because he's like, "Fuck, it's my brother," you know. That's a nice stick. There's the line, and he does the middle finger claw, which he already did in X-Men 1 to Cyclops. It's not as funny here, but I guess somebody thought they should do it again. Yeah, I always thought the effects of this, of Gambit going up the wall and flipping over, and then when Wolverine claws at the fire escape, just the CGI looks so fucking terrible. Oh, look at this. Gamerman, was it you that said this was a $150 million budget? I would this CGI looks like it's on the CW Arrowverse. That's how bad the CGI looks. There's no fucking way. We've already had Iron Man 1 come out by this point. We've already had Iron Man 1. Think about that. The MCU had just gotten started, I think a year before this. This is 2009, right? A year before this, the MCU got started. It's fucking nuts. It's fucking nuts. All right, there is Stryker's son, who he froze, I guess. And you can tell it's him because of the two different eye colors. Why is he frozen? I mean, I guess that he would freeze him because of the fact that he killed the mother, right? The son killed the mother, but he freezes him, and then when does he get him out of being frozen? Because obviously the son gets older at some point. I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. We just got a little glance at Wade, Weapon 11, the new Deadpool. Oh, fuck. When I say I remember as a kid I bought the action figure from this movie. The Deadpool action figure? Holy shit, I didn't even know they sold. I didn't even know they sold that. I was under the impression that Fox never had the toy rights to the X-Men. So that's why there wasn't a lot of X-Men movie toys, because Fox didn't own that, unless it was Marvel who were just sort of making the toy versions of these movies because it was all that they had at the time. Okay, Stryker just randomly killed this colonel with a sword. And, like, now I know later on they go up to Stryker and they say, we need to question you for the murder of so and so. So he's going to, I guess, pay for it or at least be questioned about it. Although when you see him in X-Men 2, it's not really, you wouldn't have the thought that he went to prison or anything. I don't think he goes to prison, so that it's all kind of wasted there. Why would Stryker think that he can just get away with killing some military general? You know what I mean? Like, Stryker was not this dumb in X2. He wasn't. And as much as I don't mind Taylor Kitsch as Gambit, why is he in this movie? Is it just because Fox was like, well, we've done 3 X-Men movies and we never did Gambit. Fans have been asking for Gambit, and at this point, I guess they didn't think they would ever do another X-Men movie, so they said, let's just throw him in this. Because he does nothing. He does nothing in this movie. He does nothing. He had one scene where he got to use his cards, and even then, he gets bitched out by Wolverine, and then that's kind of the end of it, you know? It's such a... Oh, look at Deadpool's eyes. That was kind of a freaky looking shot. I'll give you that. Did John Carter come out after this movie? Yes. Yes, because this was 2009. John Carter was John Carter 2012? I forget the exact year of John Carter, but it was definitely after this. Because Taylor Kitsch had John Carter, Battleship, and Savages all in the same year, and they all bombed. Yes, I do remember. The plan, right. But I'm talking about I don't think Fox planned on doing more X-Men team movies. Like, post The Last Stand. Fox's plan was that they were going to do a bunch of origin movies. We were going to get Wolverine origins, we were going to get Magneto origins next. I think they wanted to do probably every character. They probably wanted to go through every, and I'm not saying that's a terrible idea, but it's also like you're talking about doing only prequel movies now, right? And I don't see a future in the franchise doing that. I don't know why they never try to do a full X-Men movie post The Last Stand with like the current team. All right, so Wolverine shows up at the facility at the island, and there's Kayla. She's alive. What? All right, here's another dumb moment. That's your girlfriend, dude. Hugh Jackman's acting is very good here. When he sees her, and he realizes that his relationship was a lie, the woman that he loved was a liar. Him going down on his knees and struggling to breathe. That's a very good acting moment. All right, here we go. They're explaining how she faked her death. They gave her a shot that slowed her heart rate. They poured ketchup all over her. And, well, thank God Wolverine didn't bury her body. Like, what would they have done if it was like, oh shit, he buried her? Oops. And did you know that her sister has diamonds for skin? Right, so her sister is Emma Frost, right? Another character that was never in the X-Men movies prior to this, that they decided, let's just shove her in here. Because why not? Comic book fans will know who she is. It was real for me, damn it! Um, I do like how Victor is watching this from afar. I don't know if he's watching this and he feels bad for Wolverine. Probably not. But it's it's an interesting idea. Maybe he didn't realize how much this would have hurt Wolverine. I don't know. I can't really tell what Victor's thinking through most of this. Liev Schreiber's just a good actor, so I don't mind him in the role. But as far as his motivations, it looks like he's just there because he wants to kill as many people as he can. See, this scene though of Wolverine telling her that I should have seen through it. I should have known you were fake. I should have known that. And he says that I ignored what I really am. That would hit harder if we saw more of their relationship, right? If we saw him fall in love with her, if we lived through their relationship more, then maybe this moment would have hit more of him being so angry and sad and dejected. Okay, now what's also weird though is that Wolverine went there with the specific plan to free all the people that are being experimented on. Now I get that him finding out about Kayla is very heavy and very mindfuck, but he just leaves and is like, fuck those mutants, I'm out. All right, now Victor is, you can't let him go. I'm trying to figure. Okay, so here's where you have Sabretooth. He's mad that they're letting Wolverine leave, and he says that he wants the antimantium for himself, or the adamantium, however the fuck you say it. Um, and then he says, "I can take whatever he can. Like he can have." So, like, is he jealous of him, or is he? You know what I mean? Victor's Victor's goals aren't fully understood. I guess he just wants the adamantium metal, I guess. And then so Wolverine heard Kayla scream, and for some reason he came back. Like, Kayla lied to you, and your whole relationship was fake. Why would he give a shit about hearing her scream like she's in danger? Because he's the hero. Like, he just left. So why would he fucking come back? And this was the third time that Wolverine and Sabretooth ran towards each other. Come on, do it. Kill me now. Come on, do it now. See, this is the moment where Wolverine has the chance to kill Victor and he doesn't do it. But I don't think he didn't do it because, like, oh, he's my brother, right? Or, oh, he's this and that. He did it. He didn't. You you love that movie? What Predator? I always quote Schwarzenegger from Predator. Wolverine gets the upper hand in the scene. Wolverine, yeah, Wolverine definitely had him beat for sure. The Predator. Well, the Predator is the Shane Black movie. That's fucking terrible. But if you're just saying just Predator, the original with Schwarzenegger, that movie's great. That movie's great. All right, here you have a bunch of captured mutants. Do we have any Easter eggs? Do we recognize anybody else that we should recognize? Uh oh. Barakapool. We're about to get Barakapool. Uh, well, I think the one with Topher Grace, that one's called Predators. The Predator is the one with Keegan Michael Key and Thomas Jane and who's who's the main character? Remember the kid? The kid was in the movie. There's Emma Frost because why not? Yes, the little the little boy that was able to use the Predator tech, which was awful. There's Cyclops there for whatever reason. Doesn't need to be there. Stupid. Cyclops should not be here. He shouldn't. Emma Frost should not be here. Although, to be fair, I didn't care for Emma Frost in First Class either. There he is! Barakapool! Oh, Ryan Reynolds, I feel so fucking bad. His mouth is sewn shut. He has the long katana blades coming out of his wrist. And how does he have the long... How does he have the long blade in his forearm, right? Like, where does it go? When he folds his arm, does it again, that's probably the least that we have to think about. Ryan Reynolds does look fucking shredded though in this. He's huge. I mean, this might be the biggest I've ever seen Ryan Reynolds look. It's fucking terrible though. This is and for the longest time, this was the only version of Deadpool we had in live action. For the longest time, I thought this was the only time we'd ever get Deadpool. That's not Ryan Reynolds, sadly. Well, I know some of the shots is Scott Adkins, right? But Ryan Reynolds did some of it. He did some of the fighting. He didn't do all of it, but why doesn't she just tell her that she got shot? I hate these moments in movies when a character doesn't tell somebody that like they got shot or they're about to die. They have to have you go, I'll stay here. And then they look down and they're bleeding, but they don't want people to know. It's just like only in movies and TV shows do people do that. In real life, she would tell her, I'm fucking shot. Save yourself. Or, ridiculous. Because now her sister's going to leave, never knowing that her sister died, I guess. All right. Here you have a moment where Cyclops is interacting with Emma Frost. The only time Cyclops and Emma Frost ever interact in an X-Men movie, live action movie. Okay, so Barakapool, I refuse to call him Deadpool. Barakapool just teleported because he also has Will.i.am's ability. Now, why is it? Because Stryker said that nobody else could survive or has survived the Weapon X program. So why did Deadpool survive it? Or why did Wade survive it? And Sabretooth just shows up. Nobody kills you but me. Huh? So now Sabretooth is with him? So fucking confusing. Why is he with him now? Because he didn't get the adamantium? That's why Sabretooth is now with... This whole movie they've been fighting each other. Like, it... And don't get me wrong, this is a cool moment. Wolverine and Sabretooth working together to fight Barakapool. Like, in an isolated moment, it's decent, but in context of writing, in story, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. You appreciate Deadpool 2016 so much more? Fuck yeah. Trust me. Believe me. I appreciated Deadpool 2016 so much when it came out, and you're right, even more so now. And thank God that Ryan Reynolds cared so much about this character that he did not let this be the only version of Deadpool that existed in live action. Um, because goddamn well Ryan Reynolds fought his ass off to make sure that movie got made. Oh, and Wolverine with his heated up adamantium just cut his head off. Because why does his adamantium claws heat up from the lasers? Who fucking knows? The shot of his decapitated head still lasering the thing is wow. And the original plan, they did want to do a spin-off movie with Ryan Reynolds, but it was going to spin off of this movie. And because the after credit scene, which we will get to, is Deadpool grabbing his decapitated head and his mouth being unsewn. So they somehow thought they would be able to spin off Deadpool from this shit. Even though they cut his head off, and even though he now supposedly has like 20 different mutant powers, Fox didn't know what the fuck they had. I'm sorry. Fox had no fucking idea what they had with the X-Men property at all. They were running around with their heads cut off, these producers. We're brothers, and brothers look out for each other. What the fuck is Victor talking about? Victor, you just spent this whole movie trying to kill Wolverine. Huh? How are you looking out for? Like, if they had a moment where Victor said to Stryker, "Hey, you told me that we would get him back in the group," right? Like, if Victor's whole thing was he was trying to get Wolverine back into the fold, you know what I mean? Okay, but and where the hell was Gambit? Gambit just showed up. Where the hell was he this entire time? You think Fox handled Marvel better than Sony? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Because at least Sony gave us the first two Sam Raimi movies. You know what I mean? Okay, so Wolverine is about to find Kayla. Did Kayla just like drag her bloody body out there? And the problem with Fox and X-Men is that X-Men, there's so many more characters to fuck up, and they did. There was so many characters over the years that Fox fucked up with the X-Men that like it wasn't just fucking up Spider-Man in one movie, or it wasn't just fucking up like Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Fox is fucking up Gambit, Deadpool, Cyclops, fucking Rogue in a lot of people's minds. You know, Jubilee, who was barely ever in any of these movies. X-Men got better after this movie until Dark Phoenix. I don't know. Apocalypse is pretty rough too, man. And oh, Wolverine just got shot in the head with an adamantium bullet. Because is that not the dumbest version of how to have Wolverine lose his memory? He just got shot in the head twice by adamantium bullets. And so now he loses his memory. Somebody got paid to write this in the script. They got paid. So Silver Fox, Kayla, she doesn't even have to touch their skin. She's touching his pant leg. and she's the real reason why she doesn't have him shoot himself in the head is because he's supposed to show up in X-Men 2. X-Men Apocalypse is not as bad as this movie. I agree with you. It's not as bad as this movie. It's just I would almost argue though that X-Men Apocalypse is more boring than this movie, if that makes sense. Um, this movie's bad, but like I don't know. I've seen X-Men Apocalypse maybe like 2 or 3 times, and every time I watch it, I'm just very bored. You know what I mean? So yes, I agree. This movie's worse, but this movie's not boring. At least there's that. Oh, here's de-aged CGI Xavier, who looks like a fucking alien. What the hell did they do to Patrick Stewart, man? Fucking hell. He looks like a fucking cartoon character just showed up on screen. And of course, we're not keeping track of continuity because Xavier was walking on his feet, and by the time we get to James McAvoy, he gets paralyzed while he's still having hair, so they fucked that up. Again, I said this earlier, but for anybody that wasn't here at the beginning, they should have had Wolverine lose his memory due to the experiment. Taylor Kitsch got better as an actor since this movie. I've never seen Friday Night Lights, no, but I've heard it. I've heard it was a good show. Um, and I heard Taylor Kitsch was good in True Detective, right? Was that him? I've never seen that either though. And I don't think he's bad in this movie. I don't think he's bad at all. I just think that he's. Here we go. Who are you? He doesn't remember who he is. So, okay, Gambit just told him that his name is Logan. Is that supposed to explain why he only remembers Logan in X-Men 1? I know they had to force the whole like why wouldn't Wolverine just go with Gambit? I know they had to be like, no, he needs to go off on his own. He needs to be by himself. But from a logic standpoint, from where he is right now, he lost his memory. He's in front of somebody who clearly knows his name. Why wouldn't you go with him? You know, you can set up that like maybe later on at some point these two lose touch with each other, but and Wolverine just said he doesn't remember who Kayla is. Taylor was in the awful battleship Lone. Yeah, yeah, I did. I do remember him in Lone Survivor. He was very good in that movie. Um, and Battleship, I remember seeing that in theaters, and holy shit, was that bad? That was very bad. I didn't care for John Carter either, but I know some people like that movie. Man, this movie is bad though. I'm sorry. The movie flew by. The movie's not boring, and the movie has decent action, but holy shit, this is bad. Like, this might be one of the worst Marvel scripts ever. And then, wow, and then we just go to credits. That's how it ends, with him just running off away from Kayla, and then we just pan up and credits. Wow, this movie feels like such a hatchet job of like, we don't know what the fuck to do. We're just doing so much. We're just We're just throwing out so many different plot points. Oh, mid-credit scene. I say mid-credits. It was only like 30 seconds of credits. Stryker is still walking after Kayla told him to walk until your feet bleed or some shit. Um, and this is where they say to him, "You." And how do they find him? You're wanted for questioning for the death of, yeah, right. I don't even know why that's there, because if you're thinking about it, we know that Stryker doesn't go to jail or go to prison because he's back in X2. He's still very much involved with the military. So I feel like that scene was just there because Stryker was the bad guy, and so they had to make it seem like, oh, see, he gets his comeuppance, even though he doesn't. Um, Boy, this movie's all over the place. If you guys didn't hear me earlier, this movie should have been Wolverine. The actress Lynn Collins is a good actress. I like her. She's currently on Walking Dead, right? She was in John Carter. Ironically, her and Taylor Kitsch. Um, yeah, I've liked her in what I've seen her in. And it's not like she's bad in this movie. It's just her character is nothing. There's nothing to her character at all. Um, but yeah, this whole movie should have been Wolverine and Sabretooth. You know, all of the war stuff, everything of them together, several decades of different wars. You could have had three different wars. The beginning could be one, middle, and then you have the end be another war. I don't know. I don't know which ones, whichever ones you want to cover in each span of time. Um, and then you have the movie end with maybe in the same way, where Wolverine protects Victor from the other soldiers because Victor did something stupid. And then it ends with them being thrown in jail. And then the mid credit scene is Brian Cox. I like Danny Huston as an actor, but Brian Cox should have come back and we should have had him meet them in prison and say, "Good evening, gentlemen. I have a special mission for you," right? Boom. Fucking crazy. Blow your mind. And then maybe the post credit scene, like the actual end credits, is you just re-show the same footage from X-Men 2, the flashbacks of the Weapon X experiment. Because at least in that flashback, Wolverine's covered in blood. It actually looks horrific. It actually looks like he went through hell. It's not hard, people. This movie could have been fucking great. Can you imagine an X-Men Origins Wolverine movie that was good? I think the only good thing we can say about this, though, is that because this movie was as bad as it was, and because fans hated this movie as much as they did, thankfully they did not do X-Men Origins Magneto, although that could have been a good movie, but I'm kind of glad we got First Class instead. Um, should Brian Cox's face have been seen? Yes. Yes, sure. Because I mean, think about it. Brian Cox would not have been that much older. It only would have been 6 years later. So, you know what I mean? I think it would have been fine. I think it would have been fine to be honest. Because Brian Cox in Red did not look so much older than X-Men 2. Like it was doable to make him, it's like whatever. And I think you have to see his face because once you see his face, fans would know who he is. I'm not so sure if just hearing his voice would be enough. You know, So yeah, this movie was tough. This movie was tough. It was brutal. You did not need the Blob in here. You did not need Will I Am or Agent Zero or Baraka Pool. Man, Baraka Pool. Um, Another good thing that came from this movie is that because Ryan Reynolds played this part, it made him want to play Deadpool again so hard. It made Ryan Reynolds fight hard to keep the Deadpool character. Um, so, in a lot of ways, this movie had to happen for us to get First Class, for us to get Deadpool 2016, for us to get eventually Days of Future Past, right? So, as bad as this is, it had to happen for us to get where we got. Here we go. Here's the post credit scene. The rubble. Oh, and there's the katana blade going retracting into his hand. I still don't get how that works. So with the spin-off, he still would have had those katanas from his hands and from his there's his head, his eyes open, and he shishes the camera. So his mouth is functioning. I guess because he's disfigured looking, maybe he would have worn the Deadpool mask and all that shit. I am so glad though that the Deadpool movie is not a spin-off of this. Can you imagine if it was connected to this? Um yeah, I remember when I saw this movie in theaters, the post-credit scene was Wolverine at a bar in Japan, which is interesting because the second solo um, Wolverine movie, The Wolverine, is him in Japan. So I feel like they already knew that they probably wanted to do a second Wolverine movie set in Japan. And we eventually got there. It just was obviously very different. But yeah, I when I saw this in theaters, I got the Wolverine in the bar post credit scene too. It wasn't until I bought this on DVD and I rewatched it to where I saw the Deadpool scene, and I said, "Oh," and I said, "This is different." In fact, I believe in the special features, they got commentary from Gavin Hood. I don't know if I saw the commentary with Gavin Hood, but you gotta believe that he's sitting there. I mean, he's gotta pretend like he likes the movie, but there was probably. Do you think these Wolverine solo movies feel connected? No, no, not at all. Like, for example, if we wanted to just watch the Wolverine trilogy, you have X Men Origins Wolverine, you have the Wolverine, and you have Logan. Each of those movies feel very different. Obviously, this movie is a shit show. The Wolverine is actually a decent movie, besides the Silver Samurai giant robot bullshit at the end. That's when the movie goes off the rails. But for the most part, The Wolverine is a pretty good movie. And weirdly enough, it's directed by the same guy that did Logan. And Logan is such a, dark, gritty, grounded as an X Men movie can be. And like Logan is so different from the Wolverine too, even though it's the same director. So yeah, it's so weird. It might be the weirdest trilogy ever from how different all these movies are. Yeah, I think if the Wolverine had a better Silver Samurai, if it was actually a samurai, if it was actually the dude, like that one dream scene where Wolverine fights Silver Samurai, but it's a dream. But it's a quick moment where they're trading sword back and forth, or he's using his claws, the guy's using his um If it was more like that for the end battle, I think the Wolverine would be a much more solid, well-rounded movie. Um, but really quick before I end the live stream, can I just play the deleted and alternate scenes? There are 4 of them, so it's not much. We're gonna play all. You wouldn't call it a trilogy. I mean, technically it's not, but I just mean as far as 3 Wolverine solo movies. That's the only connection that they have. Technically, though, it's a connection. Um, and it's all Hugh Jackman. And technically, it's all supposedly the same universe. So that's the only reason why it is. It is a Wolverine trilogy, uh, technically. All right, so right now we're watching an alternate scene of when Wolverine leaves the group at the beginning. Victor says, "We can't just let you walk away." Wolverine throws the dog tags, and there's Baby Storm. Man, I can't believe they actually put this in the or that they shot this. They shot Baby Storm being present in this scene. I think I remember the director saying that they they took her out because they realized that it wouldn't have made sense to have Storm, like timeline wise, it doesn't make sense. So that's, but honestly, because of the continuity being all over the place, I am surprised they didn't just keep it in. Since when does the X-Men producers give a shit about continuity in the X-Men universe? All right, this scene. Oh, um, you like the end credit scene of the Wolverine with Magneto and Xavier? Oh yeah, I actually I remember seeing that in theaters and being pretty goddamn hyped for Days of Future Past, where Magneto and Xavier recruit Wolverine at the airport. I remember that. Okay, so we just saw a scene where Victor went to go see the Blob. I don't know if he kills him. I would assume he kills him. Wow, they actually name drop Deadpool in this deleted scene. Stryker is telling Wolverine why he was collecting the mutant DNA, and he said, "I needed it for the pool." And Wolverine was like, "What?" And he was like, "The Deadpool." Holy shit! I'm glad they took that out. Like, I know we all knew it was Deadpool, but fuck, if they had had the for the Deadpool, it's like, oh fucking hell, fuck you guys. We're gonna take a shot for the fact that they say the Deadpool in a deleted scene. To be fair. Oh fuck. Oh no. So this is an alternate version of when Wolverine finds out that Kayla was in on it, right? So far the only difference was that he said Deadpool by name. Did you hear that Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman have been canceled? I did hear that. Yeah. Batwoman, I couldn't give a fuck less about, but Legends of Tomorrow actually kind of makes me sad. I enjoyed that show. I had fun with that show. I know not everybody loved the show, but what sucks more is that I wish Legends of Tomorrow got one last season where they could have wrapped up everything. They could have gave it a true finale, like planned a last season, even if it was just a shortened season the way that they did with Arrow. Arrow only had, I don't know how many episodes season 8 of Arrow was, but if you had done that for Legends, you could have given them 8 to 10 episodes to just close it out. Um, it almost makes me not want to finish the episodes of season 7 because it's like, well, what's the point now, right? Yeah, Sarah Lance might be my favorite character from the Arrowverse, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of characters, a lot of cool characters. You stopped watching Legends Tomorrow after Crisis on Earth X. I think that's probably the problem. A lot of people, I think, stopped watching Legends after a certain point, and I know the comedy and the silliness and the tone of Legends was not everybody's cup of tea, but there was just something about it, something about how lighthearted it was, that I had fun with it. I did. Um, okay, so far this scene is pretty similar to what happened. I think the difference in this scene is that instead of Wolverine leaving the facility after he finds out that Kayla was in on it or whatever, in the movie he just leaves and then he comes back because he hears her scream. Whereas in this version, I think Stryker convinces him to let his to like wipe his memory. Which, what? I mean, it's all dumb, but can you imagine if they had kept it this way, where Wolverine just, I guess he's so depressed over Kayla that he just allows himself to get his memory wiped? Isn't Brandon Routh in Crisis on Infinite Earth X? Uh, I don't know about Earth X, but he's definitely on Crisis of on Infinite Earths. He plays Superman, the Superman Returns version of Superman. Uh, I will say the only thing I do like about this version of it is that the idea of Wolverine willingly letting his memory be wiped. Victor being mad about that, Victor going up to Stryker and saying, "Will he forget about me?" And then when Stryker says, "Yeah," and Victor gets mad about that, Victor gets mad that like he's about to lose his brother. That's a lot more interesting than what they did. The problem is just you have to have Wolverine make the choice to let his memory get wiped, and I don't know if I like that. So it's just like you do one dumb thing, and then you get one interesting thing, and then the actual theatrical version, you do something where Wolverine says "fuck it" and leaves, which makes sense, but then you have the dumb moment of Victor turning on Stryker and trying to kill Kayla out of nowhere, which caused Wolverine to come back, and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? All right, here's the moment where Kayla's asking Stryker about her sister. Here we go. Victor, you never said anything about wiping his memory. And he's pissed about it. That's actually interesting. I want to know if he'll remember me. Stryker says no. And Victor is angry. Like, I'm telling you, there's interesting ideas and interesting nuggets in this movie. Although this is all deleted, so this doesn't matter. But okay, so now Wolverine hears her scream while he's in the device to wipe his memory, I guess. Oh, Okay, so that's different. Or did I miss that in the regular movie? She grabs Sabretooth's arm and tells him to let her go, and and he does. I don't remember that in the movie. All right, here's the Wolverine in a bar scene. This is the second after credit scene. How does he remember he's Canadian if he lost his memory by this point? No, I'm drinking to remember. And then he keeps drinking. Well, there you go. There you go. I mean, I guess ultimately it doesn't really make sense for him to be in Japan at that time because it's supposed to be before X-Men 1 and he doesn't go to Japan until after X-Men 3 in the timeline. But again, who gives a fuck? And hey, maybe it's not his, you know, not his only time being in Japan because clearly he was in Japan earlier with the bone claws, right? When he saved that dude, and that's anyways. I'm going off the rails. I hope you guys enjoyed this fucking whatever the fuck live watch this was. Drunk. Yeah, I had something to drink. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys had fun, at least as much fun as we're able to have while watching this dumpster fire piece of shit film. Oh boy. I thank you again to Bree and Ty for your generous, very generous donations. I cannot thank you guys enough. Fuck, you guys are keeping me going. Let me tell you, I feel like you guys alone are supporting my live stream. So hey, appreciate it. Much love. Next week we will be doing Jurassic Park. So stay tuned for that. Take care. Later.